Sure, this firing off. Hmm. Oh, yeah. It's just me tonight, folks. We get to have some shenaniganery and good times tonight. Oh, hope everyone's having a good night. You know what? I'm going to keep the music going for a minute because we're waiting for a few. Since tonight's solo ride, I figure why the hell not, right? Hmm. Hey, what's up, Mr. Wookie? How's it going, buddy? Haven't seen you around for a hot fucking minute. Wasn't sure if you were even still alive. Get, you've been living? How dare you? Not allowed to do that. Well, just don't be blind. That's how you fix that. Or go work a corner, sell that young, fresh, smooth booty, and you can get some money real quick in like a weekend. You will have everything you need on in like a single Friday night. Oh yeah, no, it's just me tonight, buddy. Gibbs is getting the universal fleshlight treatment, and your brother is still being your brother. So once once the universe is done fucking everybody, we can get back to a regular show. No, Sonia, you cannot get mod. I'm sorry. I only give mods to longtime fans and people who are actually on the show. But you know, it's a good try. I do have some info about the live show I'll be sharing tonight, so stick around for that, you guys. I will say, Sonia, at least you're not sitting here trying to claim that this is your stream. We did have someone try that once. So, uh, I think so. I think so, buddy. That's honestly, that's the only thing that makes sense. Right, Wookie? Welcome to my stream. Don't forget to follow. Whatever was wrong with that, dude? I actually kind of miss him. You know, it was a good, fun interaction that it was kind of weird, but you know, you're the streamer now. Yeah, I got you. See, I don't do that. Piss me. What is Blast from the Past? Warp Tour. I don't know what that is. I'm old, so. Yeah, I have no idea what Warp Tour is. Warp Tour, is that for like Star Trek or something? Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, I listen to metal, but I just don't know what Warp Tour is. So, I don't do the concert scene though. So maybe that's a thing. I don't know. Well, I'm disappointed in you. And I'm sure a lot of other people are as well. But why not? Coachella for metal. Okay. So like Burning Man, but metal. No. The big tour back in the 2000s was Ozfest. So incarceration, yeah. I know what that is. So they do that not too far from me, a couple hours. It was just this past weekend, I think. Last weekend. Wookie, it's not that far from you. I think it's only like 2 or 3 hours. Yep. Mansfield Penitentiary. It is very expensive. But yeah, I guess it's worth it. If going to concerts and getting tattoos at a concert is your thing, you know. I don't know. Yes, go to the pits. Highly recommended. All right. I am going to try to get this show going. And since it's just me, I'm going to try to sit here and not scream into the microphone for an hour while at the same time try not to power through my notes in like 20 minutes. Give you guys something to actually listen to tonight. So. Basically, yes. Yeah. Yeah, more or less. All right, so I will go ahead and since there's nobody to sync up with, it's just me. So I'm clapping in my head. So I'll just go ahead and sound check there and I'm good to go. All right. No. Okay. Noodles and nips just for you since you asked. All right, so I'll go ahead and start the show then in 5, 4, 3. Welcome to the Now We Consume podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Pip. Here with me tonight is precisely nobody. It's going to be a solo show tonight, so I'm going to try to keep things a little differently than I've done in the past when I've done the solo shows. So no cringy AI stories, no politics. I'm going to try to do an actual episode where I'm not screaming into the microphone for an hour and try not to power through the notes in like 20 minutes. So before I get started tonight, I do want to touch tips on a few things. The live show, I was finally able to confirm a few things. We are confirmed for Sunday, September 6th. We will start the show sometime around 7 or 7:30 at the Hadouken Barcade in Lancaster, Ohio. Tickets are going to be free. We're not doing tickets. Just show up. We'll have the address posted on all of our socials. So please make sure you're followed there. If you're not, you can look up Hadouken Barcade in Lancaster, Ohio. The event is going to be open to the public. So if you're not sure about seating or anything, go ahead and show up early. Please remember, it is a bar first with an arcade. So there are things to do there. If you want to get food, go early. There's a lot of really great restaurants nearby. Get your stomach filled up, and don't be an asshole to the staff. They are wonderful people. The people that are there most of the time, the regulars, tend to be a pretty awesome group of people. So let's show up and show them that we're an awesome group as well. Aside from that, we may end up taking a break after this episode just to kind of focus on the live show and everything else that's going on, with Gibbs taking a little bit of a hiatus, and I know Gibbs has some stuff going on. So this show may be the last one until the live show. I will keep you guys updated on that, but with everything going on, it's just kind of hard for the shows to keep firing. I know you guys have noticed that it's been every other week for the summer, so we'll keep you all posted on that. But if that's what we've got to do just to keep the show going and get ready for the live show, then that's what we've got to do. But we're going to try to keep them going. If I have to do a couple of solo shows in the meantime, I can and I will, but it's going to kind of depend on listener feedback. So we'll see what happens between now and then. But like I said, we are about 6 weeks out, 6 weeks from tomorrow, I think, if I'm not mistaken, from the live show. So if you're interested, we hope to see you all there. It will be all three of us. I have at least confirmed with them. So we will we'll be there. We're going to put on a hell of a good show. And like I said, the atmosphere there, the people there, everything is awesome. So we really hope that you guys show up. Getting into tonight's episode, this one is kind of a weird one, and I know coming from me, that's saying something. Talking about red pill futures, and by that I mean going from things like The Matrix all the way out to 1,000-year lifespans. We talk a lot about AI on this show, and it's one of our central points because it's one of the things that is really an existential point in society, in technology and in development. But it's also one of those things that, if used properly or improperly, can make or break the future. We are not really building AI to replace us, but what happens when the lines between biological thought and computer processing and even radical longevity start to get blurred? Humans as mere batteries is a terrible idea, and that point was made very clear by the movie The Matrix. The real sci-fi premise is actually much, much darker, but much more fascinating. We could essentially be made to act as a distributed neural network. The scariest part is that fiction may quickly be becoming a reality. So using brains as compute. In the actual movie of The Matrix, Morpheus famously holds up the Duracell battery and calls humans copper tops, explaining that the machines use us for thermal and electrical energy. Now, there's a long-standing piece of internet lore claiming that studio executives forced the Wachowski brothers to change humans from being used as computational processors, i.e. a neural network, into batteries, because they didn't think that the moviegoers would understand human processors over batteries. Now, funnily enough, comic writer Neil Gaiman actually popularized the processor angle in an official tie-in comic called Goliath, which is where a lot of the confusion started. Quick side note before I keep going. It occurs to me that if the machines are going to start using people as processors, minds like mine, dear God, they don't know what they're getting into. Thermodynamically, using humans as batteries, maybe not the best idea, because we consume more calories than we put out, but metaphorically, the idea of humans acting as the unconscious wetware running a synthetic infrastructure kind of hits really close to home when we look at how our data, all of our text and behavior currently train the AI systems. And there's a lot of logic and reasoning and understanding that goes into that processing that even our best AI models struggle with daily. So if you tie in all of that I just said with current organoids, and if you don't know what these things are and you haven't seen them before, look them up. Just be prepared to be given a case of the, you know. Organoids are biological computers that are being made using human brain tissue. And these things are running complex computational software at a fraction of the hardware running expense, electricity and cooling of a typical server load. So it's not a huge stretch to see that the technology to do all of this is starting to evolve to the point of using an entire human. Now, would it be biologically worth it to sustain an entire body for that kind of output? Or will we develop the Ron Popeil technology to keep heads alive in jars and just use that? Similar to like Futurama, which, side note, is Matt Groening really a time traveler and he's just coming back to spread his future stuff? Human brains, biologically speaking, make terrible computers for silicon tasks because they're noisy, they're power hungry, and they're slow at raw math. But the underlying obsession with merging organic wetware with digital logic is accelerating. Think back to some of our future episodes. We've talked about things like Neuralink. We've talked about all these BCI interfaces or hardware devices that are going to allow computers to interface directly with our brains and with our bodies. And in some cases, even upgrade what our biological capacity is and can be and can do. So we're quickly coming onto a precipice where the biological will no longer be the limitation. If you're a fan of science fiction, it almost starts to sound like we are becoming the Borg from Star Trek. The Borg are the hive mind from Star Trek that used assimilation at the cost of individual identity. A distributed neural network in that capacity could theoretically work whether or not it's voluntary. I don't know. And I've got something I want to touch on that a little bit later. We don't want a collective drone state, but if it is voluntary, would it really be like a modular human technology symbiosis? Because that's already on the table with a lot of the technology that I've mentioned. Think back to the episode that we talked about with Cognify, using technology to alter the brain while someone is asleep. You could literally train somebody in hours to start performing tasks on a computational level without too much energy. And you slap a Neuralink in there and it's going to start happening at the subconscious level. So the question needs to be asked, are we sliding down the slope towards almost hive efficiency, or can we use technology strictly as a tool to patch the organic bugs without completely erasing the user? And I don't know that we as humans are responsible enough to hit the brakes before we let everything kind of overwrite. We're power hungry by nature. And I don't think that if the safety rails aren't put there, that enough of us are going to be responsible enough to use it properly. So reason being is there's always been that ancient drive to upgrade. Humans push always to do more and be better no matter the cost. Look at athletes, for example, steroids and such. The Olympics, they just had the modified Olympics or whatever, where the enhanced Olympics or something like that, where they encourage and actually promote the use of steroids and enhancers to push the body to the breaking point and see how far they can go. Oh, holy shit. We joked about that like a year or two ago, and now they fucking did it? Are you kidding me? I mean, tell me that we're not going down that path to become the Borg, like right there. Or not even the Borg. Sorry for the Star Trek references, but it makes sense because in Star Trek lore, prior to the Borg, you had the augments, which were just enhanced humans. Tell me that doesn't ring a bell. So, this isn't a modern tech bro phenomenon. It's kind of foundational to our species. It's built the wheel, mapped the genome, and now it wants to hack mortality. Using Neuralink style brain computer interfaces, we've got advanced prosthetics and even targeted gene editing. CRISPR. Oh my fuck. CRISPR is probably going to be one of those other things used in combination with AI that will dramatically change the human race. This is kind of veering off topic, but if you guys have been watching any of the UFO disclosure stuff, some of those alien interviews that came out years ago that were debunked as hoaxes may have actually been real. One of them in particular was an alien interview that was supposedly the alien was from the future, and the gray, as it was, had mutated over time. That was already proven that it was very difficult to fake. So I'm kind of wondering something along those lines. So if we keep down this path, we've got the Neuralink, all the other BCIs, being able to edit memories in our sleep, all this fuckery that we're doing to the human body, every leap forward is going to come with a price tag. It's going to be things like personal identity shifts, different kinds of socioeconomic divides in access, of course. You think they're going to let us poors have this shit? No, we're going to have to fight for it. And then, of course, you've got the ethical dilemmas of over-optimizing the human experience. Now, on that, I'm going to kind of spit on it and slip it into the Star Trek stuff again. The Borg represent the ultimate extreme of collective efficiency. If you think about humans and our fascination, I'll be polite and say fascination, with war, because we really like to hurt each other a lot. I mean, if you think about it, the invention of the bow and arrow was just because we had knives and we decided, you know, I want to stab that guy, but he's way the fuck over there. Resistance is futile. That is the main call of the Borg. Individual identity is erased. Every drone is hooked into a hive mind and governed by a central queen or the consensus directive. So if you're not a nerd like I am, the Borg go around and just kind of hoover up whole starships and planets worth of people, and they bring them into their collective. They upgrade themselves via everything that they offer and expand their capacity via their brain space, I guess, is the easiest way to say it. Everything that new species brings to the table, the entire Borg collective gets. So it's a mass upgrade for everybody. Now, why am I sitting here talking about a fictional species like the Borg? The fear of tech integration is starting to spread a lot of fear. It's fear of the loss of the individual self. And when people start to push back against neural interfaces or the provision of AI, or pervasiveness of AI rather, they are essentially fighting a fear of becoming like one of those Borg drones. And as much of a technophile as I am, I don't blame them at all, because I have a want to stick around this life for a very long time. I was joking with my girlfriend just the other day. I wouldn't mind sticking around for like 1,000 years. I want to see what happens. She thinks I'm crazy, but it's really not that far off to think that we're at a point where that might be possible. Maybe not me, maybe one of my kids, but we're like right there. The distinction between assimilation and symbiosis. So the Borg kind of force a loss of self in the name of efficiency. The path that we're trying to walk, or essentially build, is more modular and definitely voluntary. You get to keep all of your, you-ness, all your quirks, which may or may not be a bad thing for people like me, all your messiness, and using the tech strictly as an external multiplier rather than an overwrite. So we want to optimize what it means to be human without erasing what it is to be human. And like I said, I don't know that we can do that because of what a lot of humans do. Now, I said that I have this weird thing that I want to live for like 1,000 years. We literally may not be that far away. Age is now being treated as an illness. I don't know if you guys heard this or not, but there's a company that has moved anti-aging drugs into human trials. So yeah, that's pretty awesome, I think. So cellular reprogramming therapies using partial, I'm going to butcher this, Yamanaka factors, like Life Biosciences early clinical trials with the ER-100 targeting age-related eye conditions, are moving from lab rats to humans. That is not the trial that was targeting age. That was a whole different experiment. But we are actively trying to reset cells to a youthful epigenetic state. So the ER-100 set the baseline for working with these Yamanaka factors. They are trying to actually reset the cells that control aging. If you know anything about the way that cells multiply and divide, we studied that back in school, mitosis, there are these little tags called telomeres that get longer and longer, or shorter and shorter, I don't remember, whenever the cells divide. And these things essentially act like a biological clock. These Yamanaka factors reset those telomeres. So they don't change length like they should, which means the cells effectively don't age. And if the cells don't age, we don't age. Which means that somebody who's like 140 could just look and feel and act and be 40. So that's kind of cool. So that's it's not just treating a symptom. It's not popping a pill. It's treating aging as an information problem rather than wear and tear type damage. It's treating the cellular system like it's corrupted software. Using these Yamanaka factors, it's essentially like executing a reset command within the cells to restore youthful epigenetic expression. One of the quotes I was able to pull, for the longest time, aging was viewed as an inevitable tax on living. We are now looking at the literal first generation of therapies attempting to reboot the biological operating system. So, I'm in two camps on this, because A, I think that that's a really awesome thing. I think that life is a wonderful, amazing, beautiful thing, and anything that we can do to preserve it, because this is the only spot that we 100% know for sure, without any bullshit, non-disclosure shit, know about, that there is life. So out of all the hundreds of billions and trillions of stars in the universe that we know about, this is the only star that's got a planet with life. So it's something special. On the other hand, if we're going to do this, we've got to have some checks and balances in place. Otherwise, we're going to be like China and India, and the population's going to go from 8 billion to 80 billion really damn quick. So I know we talked about the whole birth decline an episode or two ago. Probably not the worst thing if we're living for 300 years or something. Definitely going to have to put limits on that shit. So let me know what you think on that. Funding initiatives like ARPA-H, that sounds almost like DARPA, doesn't it? Are pushing senolytics and immune rejuvenation into the mainstream. Experts are seriously discussing whether longevity escape velocity, where medical science adds more than 1 year of life for every year that passes, might enter the conversation mid-century. Mid-century. That's 24 years from now. Ish. I'm young enough I might live to see that. hopefully most of you guys listening are too. So, yeah, we're not talking about living forever just to be an ancient and frail thing. We're talking about compressed morbidity, pushing the health span of 100-year-old body functions, pushing the health span so a 100-year-old body functions like a vibrant 40-year-old. A vibrant 40-year-old. Yeah, that's something. So here's somewhat of a prophetic view, and I'm going to kind of show a little bit of my age here. Looking back at it, here's a name everybody should know. Adam Savage, the guy from Mythbusters. He actually had a 1,000-year vision. He did a special back in 2011. It was on the Discovery Channel, Science Channel, whatever it was, called Curiosity. Can you live forever? So in that special, he explored a speculative look at a cybernetic future involving organ printing, regeneration, and gradual upgrades over centuries. Watching it today, in 2026, there are elements of stem cell progress and bioengineering that, at that point in time, would have felt kind of prophetic, because the technology advances that we have made in 15 years since that show aired, a lot of them have come to pass. And a lot more of them are in lab level stages of research. So maybe that's not too big of a jump to say that we could hit that mark. It's starting to kind of force some talks to happen, and the talks are not super comfortable. If you can continuously upgrade the components of the human body over the course of a millennium, at what point do you stop being you? And then when do you decide the journey is complete? I think that one there touches on one of our other episodes, death at your discretion. That's not the episode. I'm kind of blanking, but the right to die, death on your own terms. I think that type of legal framework would absolutely need to be in place. Especially if this is stuff that they're like almost mandating, because I could see things like that happen. How did I get all this tied together? It's a big stretch, but when you look at technology like Neuralink, and we've talked about this before, when you look at things like data centers, how they're trying to pop up everywhere, and they're trying to cordon down the data centers into people's homes. NVIDIA is offering some kind of weird workaround where they'll pay you $22,000 a year to put a mini data center at your house. It's a pilot program. Don't get too excited. But if things like that start to take off, they won't have to build the data centers anymore. I don't think it's going to. It just leaves too much money on the table and too exposed. So then what's the next step? If they don't put the data center at your house, they put the data center in you via things like Neuralink. Now, you cannot sit there and tell me, if they were offering something like 25 grand, 50 grand a year to pay you to get a Neuralink, to be a data processing center while you slept, while you weren't really using your brain, and they could prove that it was at least reasonably safe, and they would cover all the expenses of the surgery, all that shit. Tell me you wouldn't do it with a straight face. So once people become the data centers, we effectively become a still conscious version of the people in the pods in the Matrix. We're our own Zion. You don't have to look very far to see that the bridge between all these sci-fi concepts and the hardware reality. Neuralink is not the only BCI out there. We've talked about a lot of them on this show. Building the systems, it's not just about writing code. It requires brutal, meticulous physical engineering, managing signal degradation, power constraints, biocompatibility. The list is fucking huge. It comes down to where biology meets the titanium. And those borders are getting smaller and smaller every day. Now, as somebody that works with my hands, I can appreciate the hardware side. It's kind of easy for me to sit here and talk about the merging with the machines because I do that kind of shit daily at the small scale at my work. Not physically merging humans with machines, but I do small scale work. But somebody has to physically design the infrastructure to handle all this stuff. And I'm telling you right now, it's happening. The workshops are there. The infrastructure is being built. The tracks are getting laid and the trains are being made or are being built. So the red pill that Morpheus is offering, it's not really about rejecting the reality of our own biology. It's going to be more about confronting it head on and choosing how far we want to push that envelope. And when it comes to reality, we don't have to reject the collective reality and substitute our own. Another Adam Savage reference. All of this technology has been discussed in some capacity on this show, and there's a fucking reason. The development is continuing on, just like a train speeding down the tracks. And it's almost like the conductor is in the dining car. And no one is paying attention and trying to put the brakes on. We're doing all of this fucking AI development that's just being allowed to continue on at a pace that's starting to make the old 90s descriptions of Skynet seem like a best case scenario. One of our earliest episodes talked about uploading your brain and living out your existence in a digital afterlife. The technology to do that ties in with a lot of what we've talked about here tonight. And honestly, if things don't get a little bit better, that might be what we end up doing out of necessity. Digital retirement could become our matrix. And in the end, it could all be in the name of compute. So that's the show. I really didn't mean for it to be all doom and gloom. I had actually intended for it to be a little bit longer, but I guess, you know, that's what you get out of me tonight. I promised I wouldn't scream into the microphone for an hour, but that's it. I guess leave a comment. Tell me if you'd would you take the Neuralink implant to become a human data center, and what would your price be? I'll leave you with that. Thanks for hanging out. Don't forget about the live show. We're 6 weeks out. We hope to see y'all there. We love y'all, and we'll see y'all next time. All right, so that's the episode. I'll go to the after show now. What questions did you guys have? Yeah, they said 190s regularly biologically could be possible. That's on the low end, is what I saw during my research. So that's pretty fucked up. .exe brain cell not found. Yeah, that's great. I had to try to work in what Gibbs said because, yeah, my brain's going to cause so many blue screens. Me and you both, buddy. Me and you both. Oh, yeah. Evolving rather than just boom matrix, but neurological. Yep. My brain blue screens all the damn time. So you shush. You know this. Who wants to live how long, Oside? I want to stick around for 1,000 years. Right here. If you could be physically healthier than you are right now, healthier, emphasis on the harder, and be able to function for 1,000 years and have everything that you needed to accomplish a happy, healthy life, you wouldn't do it? So mentally, you think it would drive someone insane. Again, think about some of the technologies we talked about that Cognify, where they are altering people's memories in their sleep. I don't think that would be much of an issue. And I don't think it would become dull, only because you would literally be able to move around at will, and you could just start a new life every 15, 20 years if you wanted. You have to kind of think, if they've got everything in place for people to live for 1,000 years, they have to have everything to support that. So the ability to pick up and move every so often, every few decades, that has to be in place. Think of everything humanity's going to accomplish in 1,000 years, though, Photo. I mean, I personally want to see it. Yeah, I mean, Ultron said it best, or Vision said it. You know, but so many things you could learn, experience, see, so many places you could go. You know, I'm 45 years old. There's a lot of things I've already missed, and there's a lot of things I'm going to miss. I don't have the time to do life because I just figured out how to do life, you know? Yeah, I'm old. I know. But if not 1,000 years, how about 500 years? I'm not a boomer. I'm not that old. Yeah, so Photo, I don't know if you stuck around. The episode's over. I'm in my post show now. I usually have another one or two people with me, but being able to live for upwards of 1,000 years, theoretically, you would have the option to stop whenever you wanted. But I'm a person with a very curious mind, so I want to see what humanity does over the next 1,000 years. So, well, so also keep in mind, we've only gotten to 100 because of improvements in like medicine and health and all that stuff. 40 used to be considered ancient back in the day. Getting a redo instead of just living longer. Man, if I had some redos. Yeah. But okay, Photo, if you're still there, let me ask you this. If you were given an option to receive a Neuralink implant and essentially be turned into a biological data center, so that your body would be, your brain would be doing data center functions while you were sleeping, and it was essentially told that it would be safe, or safe enough rather, would you do it, and for how much? Yeah, you would rest, because the Neuralink would theoretically be doing all the work. It would just be kind of plugged in, using your brain as a battery. So, yeah, again, there would have to be limits on things like that. But, hey, live to 1,000, struggle for the first 300, and then live the life of luxury for 700. I'd take that trade. Yeah, I think a lot of people would take that one. But all right, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this. Go ahead and get the episode chopped down and sent out for distribution. So, thank you guys for hanging out. Goddamn, I can't human tonight. Yeah, I'll rest the brain before I get the Neuralink. Hell yeah. So, all right, you guys have yourselves a good night, and we'll see you all next week, hopefully.